So I'm going to call the meeting to order. The regular meeting of the Sanford City Council, Tuesday, July 6th at 6:04, meeting format. This meeting will be conducted by a remote video and teleconference pursuant to 1 MRSA Section 403A. Members of the public may join the meeting by phone by dialing 1-929-205-6099 using meeting ID 836-656-0121 and password 847341 or via computer at the link provided on the city's website. Members of the public may also submit comments via the City of Sanford website at www.sanfordmaine.org under email, City Department, City Council. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone can mute their computers, Councilor Martell will be leading us in the pledge as well as the moment of silence. I'm turning it over to you, Councilor Martell.
All right, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please take a moment of silence.
Thank you, Councilor Martell. I'm going to call the roll. Councilor Martell.
Present.
Councilor Hanselman.
Present.
Councilor Tuttle.
Present.
Councilor Stackpole.
Present.
Councilor Lanigan.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy.
Present.
I'm Anne-Marie Mastracchio. I serve as the city's Sanford's mayor, and we're also joined this evening by City Manager Steve Buck and Larissa Ricketts, the City Manager's Executive Assistant. First items on the agenda are the minutes, 21-340-01. Ordered to approve the minutes from the executive session of the City Council held on Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. I'll take a motion to approve with the amendment that I think Councilor Tuttle was absent, and and the minutes should reflect that. So,
well, if I were there, I would have voted yes, Madam Mayor. But I can't.
I don't think you were there, though, Councilor Tuttle.
I wasn't. No, I was in spirit
right.
only.
So, other than Councilor Tuttle, could someone give me that motion?
Motion
Make a motion to second.
I'm trying to. Was the first the motion by Councilor Martell?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, and the second by Councilor Lanigan to approve as amended. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Councilor Martell.
Yes.
Councilor Hanselman.
Yes.
Councilor Tuttle will abstain because he was not present. Councilor Stackpole.
Yes.
Councilor Lanigan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy.
Yes.
And I am also yes, so that's 6 in favor and 1 abstention. 21-341-01. Ordered to approve the minutes from the regular City Council meeting held on Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
You can't do that, Councilor Tuttle, because you weren't there.
Well, withdraw my motion.
So moved. So moved.
A motion by Councilor Stackpole. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Hanselman. Any discussion? I'll call the roll. Councilor Martell.
Yes.
Councilor Hanselman.
Yes.
Councilor Tuttle was not present at that meeting, so he will abstain. Councilor Stackpole.
Yes.
Councilor Lanigan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy.
Yes.
And I am also a yes, so that's 6 in favor with 1 abstention. 21-343-01. Ordered to approve the minutes from a special City Council meeting held on Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. And I will just add a correction to the minutes to correct the spelling of Rachel Schneider from S-N-Y-D-E-R to Schneider, S-C-H-N-E-I-D-E-R. I just wanted it to reflect correctly for the record. So with that amendment, and everyone was present, so I'll take a motion from anyone to approve this amendment.
Madam Mayor.
Motion by Councilor Tuttle. Is there a second?
Second.
By Councilor Lanigan. All right, seeing no discussion, we'll call the roll. Councilor Martell.
Yes.
Councilor Hanselman.
Yes.
Councilor Tuttle.
Yes.
Councilor Stackpole.
Yes.
Councilor Lanigan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy.
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. That is unanimous. Okay, 21-342-01. Order to approve the minutes from the executive session of the City Council held on Monday, June 28th, 2021. And just for information, you are not there, Councilor Tuttle, because you were doing the business in Augusta. So I'll take a motion.
One way to look at it, Madam Mayor.
Right, you were doing other important work.
Yeah.
So I'll take a motion from anyone but Councilor Tuttle.
Motion to accept.
Thank you, Councilor Martell. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Hanselman. Seeing no discussion, I'll call the roll. Councilor Martell,
Yes.
Councilor Hanselman,
Yes.
Councilor Tuttle. Oh, sorry, you abstain. Councilor Stackpole,
Yes.
Councilor Lanigan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy,
Yes.
and I'm also a yes. 6 in favor and 1 abstention. Okay, Mayor's report, City Council Subcommittee reports. I really just I don't have much on my report this evening. Just wanted to make sure that I thank Larissa for her excellent job in compiling the minutes. In the last 6 months, really have found very, very few things. She gets everything pretty much right. And if she doesn't get it right, it's really an error in just how something is reported, I'm sure. I'd also like to remind everyone that our next regular council meeting will be in person. And attendees are welcome, but I would ask that if you're unvaccinated, that you please still be masked. Interested parties will still be able to Zoom in and participate, as well as watch live on YouTube and live stream through the city link, or watch on their cable television channel, which I think is channel 26. I don't think we have any other subcommittee reports because we didn't meet, but I remember last week. So I will just turn this over to Steve for the city manager's report.
Hope you're muted, Steve.
Okay, two mute buttons going. All right, so I'm going to say that I'm hoping this is the last time that I'm going to report on COVID-19, quite a period of time, if ever. Also in tonight's City Council packet, there is a resolution to affirm releasing and removing the state of emergency pursuant to the remedial actions that have been taken, plus the state has done the same, and the county is also pulling back on this as well. For York County data, you can see that approximately 99.2% of COVID-19 deaths in the U.S. are in cases of unvaccinated individuals. I hope that seeks to inspire people to get vaccinated who might not have done so. Ready? Get the vaccination numbers for York County at the various locations that we have throughout York County. Noted that for this particular day, Maine CDC reported 0 new coronaviruses. That was cases. That was yesterday. And 0 additional deaths. 24 people is still in the hospital statewide, 16 in an ICU bed, 8 in a non-ICU, and 7 still on ventilator. Quickly looking at the state dashboard, we have 66.75% of the state population 12 and older have been vaccinated for their final doses. And in York County, that same eligible group is at 65.6%. I did note by zip code, Sanford is showing at 75% or greater. Springville is showing at 75% or greater vaccinations at this point in time. This information is nearly 2 weeks old, so we should be even higher than that at this point in time. Kudos to the zip codes of Sanford and Springville. Looking at the total number of cases for those same 2 zip codes combined, we currently, as of the show that it's 2 weeks after the 18th, I think it was the 28th, we had 1,790 cases. So we only gained 12 cases over a 2-week period. We went from 8.45 to 8.5% of the Sanford Springville total population has been confirmed with having COVID-19 pursuant to the diagnoses. So that's all I have to report on COVID for this evening. Looking to the council chambers and public meetings and remote participation, facilities and information system has had great difficulties in ordering and obtaining the necessary parts and equipment, as well as obtaining electrical and IT support services necessary to greatly modify the council chambers for hybrid meetings, both in person and video telephonic. As of today, alternative suppliers have been identified and parts are being delivered. An electrician to complete the wiring timely has been secured, and facilities still estimate July 19th start date go live, so we will be ready for the July 20th meeting to be live here in the council chambers in the hybrid format. I'm asking people already to bear with us because there's going to be a lot going on in that particular meeting, a lot of electronics in the room, a lot of multiple formats going out there. When we hit the magic buttons, everything is going to run. Director Houseel is working with legal counsel to combine the elements of the newly passed law LD 32, which is entitled An Act Regarding Remote Participants in Public Proceedings, to allow for counselors and or public to participate remotely in regular council meetings as allowed pursuant to the law. These elements are being combined with the prior council policy rules in order of business, Section 6, which provides for a multimedia presentation of city council meetings for the hybrid meeting model in compliance with both state law and the council's current policies. Public hearing is required under the new law before the city council can so establish a compliant policy, and that hearing is scheduled for July 20th, 2021. We'll have that to the property subcommittee next week to start the review of that pending draft prior to the July 20th meeting. So all of the work that the city council did relevant to various committees and subcommittees meeting for multimedia presentation, that will stay intact. We're going to incorporate in the new elements of the law that allows for you as counselors to remote in under certain circumstances, not always, but under certain circumstances. You have to have just cause and reason for that. That's established within the law. And then we're also seeking a further legal opinion. We believe that the council will continue to be able to hold its business meetings via the subcommittees when there's 3 counselors in there with the disclaimer of the business meeting. But we're checking with our legal counsel. He's actually on vacation this week, but we're checking with our legal counsel to affirm that. And then Ian will compile that into a working policy for the council's consideration at the July 20th meeting. You do not have to have it in form there on that particular night, but we'll have it to you in draft and hold a public hearing. The current law under Section 403A of Title I remains in effect until July 30th, but the governor removed the state of emergency as of June 30th. We had 30 days thereafter for that law to continue to stay in place. That allows you for this evening to be participating fully remotely. That will carry through to the end of the meeting, but you're booked to do your live meeting starting July 20th. So you be inside of compliancy with that as well. Last week, there was a number of concerns raised at the council level during subcommittee meetings about property at 99 High Street, so I wanted to report out on that. Action since the last time we had met during subcommittee were that 3 notice of violations were reviewed. 1 violation goes back as far as 8/14 of that should be 2020. Apologize for that typo. Those violations were left unanswered. There were further violations that were put out there on property maintenance violations on 6/25, June 25th of this year. They also issued on June 8th of this year failure to license the rental property appropriately. The owner has now responded after being absent since the start of COVID and is now working to control and secure the property. The police recently arrested a person listed as having lived at or currently living at 99 High Street in possession of a significant amount of fentanyl. That individual has now been charged with aggravated trafficking and Schedule A drugs. That is a Class A crime. And the police department is also working with the owner under the Disorderly House Chapter 114 to address the recent number of calls. The owner is working to secure the property and actually had to break into his own property in order to secure his property. Also wanted to report out on the fireworks. The July 3rd became a rain date. And we had to therefore move the fireworks to July 5th, Monday evening due to weather. That's a contractual relationship we have with our pyrotechnics company. Further delay, there was a delay of nearly an hour due to electronics failure associated with launching the fireworks. Central Maine Pyrotechnics explained that they had to reprogram the 12 pods of fireworks that had been floated out onto the barge in order to correct that malfunction. Brian gives them high kudos for being able to accomplish that reprogramming. Once that was completed, the display started just prior to 10 p.m. to a crowd that at that point was estimated to be well over 5,000 people. Parks and Recreation staff indicated they wished that they had a better means to communicate live with their viewers if and when such an occurrence happened in the future, and will work to resolve that. So given the past 15 months of COVID impacts, the hour to fix a malfunction and then to have a wonderful display seems a mindful inconvenience, yet certainly deserves an explanation as to why the delay occurred. Also wanted to bring forward, there was a wonderful email communication that came in here just this evening. The individual said, I'm 77 years old and have seen many fireworks displays over that time, but I must say I was extremely impressed with the display as I just saw from my living room window. Whoever you hired for this display did an outstanding job, in caps. Kudos to all of you who worked so hard to bring this event to fruition. I'm especially happy to have enjoyed this as I'm disabled and I thought I had witnessed my last celebration, so thank you all so much. God bless. Let's see, joint land use study and regional
Hang on,
transportation.
Steve, I just see Steve, can you just wait 1 second? Yep. I see Councilor Lanigan has his hand up. Is it about something that Steve is just talking about now? Councilor Lanigan?
Yeah. Yes, as far as the fireworks go, and I just wanted to say we were down there and the place was packed. It was great even without all the other activities. The ski show was amazing. It was great to see the community back together again, honestly. But just in the event business, what separates professionals from amateurs is the fact that they were able to fire off the fireworks. They didn't have to cancel the show, so it wasn't as on time as people would like, but the show went on. So I want to give kudos to that. And second, I wanted to ask the city manager, is there any reason why we can't have some sort of text message system where we can communicate like the schools do? I get a lot of text messages throughout the year, even notifying me of school voting. So I didn't know if there's any opportunity for that sort of program for the city going forward, because that would be an easy way to communicate, because I was getting text messages and kind of playing the telephone game to different groups of people. So
we'll continue to look into that. That's a system that we'd have to purchase. The system that we have in dispatch currently does not allow us to do that kind of distribution. We also have on the city's website a place that people can sign up to get on a email listing. It's not a text message list tree, but an email listing tree, and very few people take advantage of that. So when we get our new communications director in here, let's take a look at how that person could spearhead that type of work for us.
Yeah, because I think it would be beneficial for parking, bans, all of that stuff. So thank you.
I see Councilor Martello. Do you have a question about this as well?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I just had a quick question. Is this company the same one we've used previously in the past?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think you can go ahead, Steve. Councilor Lanigan, you still have your hand. Oh, took it down. Good. Nope, you're all set. Thank you.
All right. Joint land use study and regional transportation. City administration continues to work with the Maine Department of Transportation to support the JULIS that calls out a park and ride in the city for the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, as well as other employment centers to our south. Differently, currently has 14 van pools that run daily just to the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, not counting other employment centers. So they're requesting, we had a meeting with Patrick Adams from the Maine Department of Transportation. We've been working with Patrick on this for quite a period of time. He's now requesting a letter of support to be drafted to the department for the use for state transportation funds as opposed to federal transportation funds for a 2022 construction of a park and ride facility here in Sanford. Public Works has an initial design or up to a 100-car facility, and this would utilize that unused portion of the Cumberland Farms property, the former Emerson School property. When Cumberland Farms bought the entire lot, they gifted back to the city the back acreage of that, which the city obtained a right-of-way across the Cumberland Farms property to the traffic light as part of that construction. Director Halsey has communicated with Cumberland Farms administration that was involved in that project, and they've said they have no objections to the park and ride being so constructed and utilizing that access so it would come out at a lit intersection. So MDOT has asked us to provide the letter of support as well as initial cost estimates to the department no later than September 1st of this year. So we're working on drafting that. The department is working on a rudimentary design in order to get cost estimates for that. That would formulate the department's funding request to put into the book for construction on 2022. I believe the last thing I have in here this evening is revenue sharing. So the state legislature adopted the governor's supplemental budget, which called to increase the state municipal revenue sharing from the current 3.75% to 4.5% for fiscal year 22, and then to 5% the year after in fiscal year 23. Pursuant to this adoption, state revenue sharing provided an updated or new estimates on 7/1, July 1st. Stanford's estimated revenue is $3,444,327, which is the anticipated amount that was adopted by the City Council on 6/22/2019. We do not anticipate any other revised number for that, so that's still a good number as has been adopted by the Council. The legislature also adopted a 55% for EPS. The school department has not yet received any new or revised estimates for the EPS. We asked the finance director as late as today if they had seen that. They indicated they had not. Continue to look for it because we have reason to believe that it's higher than the number that's in there. If it is higher than the anticipated estimate that's currently in the budget book, the City Council could adopt that as late as the July 20th meeting to again positively offset and reduce net taxation for this year, if so available. That's all I had for you this evening.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any questions from councilors about the manager's report? I don't see any hands up, so I will go on to communications and presentations. There are none this evening. Public participation. Steve, can you just stop the sharing for just a bit so I can see if anybody has their hand up for public participation? You would need to put your hand up and then I would call on you. I don't see any hands unless I'm missing some. Okay, and we will go to public hearings. City Council will take public comment on the following. 21-305-01, a public hearing to receive comments in favor or against the new application submitted by Pine Tree Maine 4 LLC for adult use marijuana manufacturing, Tier 1 license at 22 Smata Drive, Sanford, Maine. I will declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone to speak in favor? Do I have anybody from the city, Steve, or we're all set? Okay, then is there anybody to speak against? Seeing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. Consent agenda 21-306-01. If there is no objection, the consent agenda will be approved as written. Old business 21-287-01. Order to approve a proposed ordinance titled False Alarms, Business or Residential. This item must be read on 2 separate days. This is the second reading. We've had discussion about this item and we will have further, but can I have a motion on the item, please?
So moved, Madam
Motion.
Mayor.
Second.
A motion by Councilor Tuttle to approve and a second by Councilor Lanigan. Discussion by the council. Steve, let me ask Steve first, were there any changes proposed? Because I think we reviewed this again at the Public Safety Committee and didn't propose any other changes, so.
Correct.
This is essentially what we saw the last time, 2 weeks ago, so.
Correct.
Is there any further discussion by the council before we vote?
I just want to double check on accountability and counting. Like, is it going to be a fair system, easy to keep track of? So everybody's being charged if they're having false alarms across the board equally.
Yes.
That's the whole point of the ordinance.
No, I know, but sometimes we don't have the right tracking systems and information falls through the cracks. So.
This will be tracked through IMC, and it's reconciled by the police department on a monthly basis.
Thank you, Steve. Any other discussion? Seeing none, then we'll vote. I'll call the roll. Councillor Martell.
Yes.
Councillor Hanselman.
Yes.
Councillor Tuttle.
Yes.
Councillor Stackpole.
Yes.
Councillor Lanigan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy.
Yes.
And I am also a yes. That is unanimous. Motion passes. New business. 21-334-01. Order to approve the qualified catering organization application from Above and Beyond Catering to locate the Gin Tin Mobile Bar at Goodall Park, 21 Robert Street, Sanford, Tuesday, July 13th, 2021, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., sponsored by Partners Bank, 900 Main Street, Sanford.
So moved.
You want to? Okay, well, I'll take a motion and then we'll discuss, but I was going to have an explanation. Motion by Councillor Lanigan to approve.
Third.
Was that a second, Councillor? Who made the second?
Second, you're right. Yeah.
All right, a second by Councillor Tuttle. Discussion. Is there any, Steve?
Muted.
I think you're muted, Steve.
Now, this is an off-premise license extension for Above and Beyond Catering. They have an off-premise license now. This would be for a permit. We utilize that on city-owned property for Goodall Park for the dates as described here below for an upcoming Mainers game.
So in other words, they couldn't do this at any other Mainers game. So even though they have another off-premise license, this is because it's on city property?
Correct, and this is for the singular event. That's all that's been applied for here this evening.
Okay. All right, any other questions from councilors?
Just like it's partners game night. They do an event for their employees, and they like to have the gin tin there. So it's more of it's not the Mainers necessarily doing it. It's more the company that's going to treat their employees to have that extra amenity that night.
So it's like a one-of. It's nothing that happens.
Yeah, it's we found that people really don't get a huge drinking crowd, and it's really looked down upon. The NECBL doesn't love it. They just don't love it at these games. So
okay,
they make it more complicated in the city, believe it or not.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Councillor Martell.
Yes.
Councillor Hanselman.
Yes.
Councillor Tuttle.
Yes.
Councillor Stackpole.
Yes.
Councillor Lanigan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy.
Yes.
And I am also a yes. That is unanimous. 21-336-01. Order to authorize the Director of Planning and Development to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission for work on data collection and creation of tables and related graphics for the comprehensive plan for an estimated fee not to exceed $7,000. I know we've discussed this in the past, so I think I'll just ask for a motion, and if there are further questions, we will continue. So is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Councillor Stackpole. And a second by Councillor Lanigan. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, is there any further discussion or questions by the council? We discussed this pretty extensively at our last meeting when we did the budget, and we included it in the budget. I don't see any other discussion necessary, so call the roll. Councillor Martell.
Yes.
Councillor Hanselman.
Yes.
Councillor Tuttle.
Yes.
Councillor Stackpole.
Yes.
Councillor Lanigan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy.
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. That is unanimous. 21-337-02. 344-01, order to accept the low bid from W. McKay Construction for the extension of Presidential Lane at the Sanford Seacoast Regional Airport in the amount of $856,246.
So moved.
That's by Councillor Lanigan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councillor Tuttle. I think just for the public, we have discussed this before. We did it as part of the budget, but I think we'll let Ms. Navia give us just the rundown again. I think you're there, Allison.
I am. Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
This is part of the Presidential Lane extension. As you said, this is a multi-phase project that has been discussed on multiple levels. We did phase one through a tax increment financing agreement that we approved earlier this year. And then this is now going to be phase two, where the city actually goes through with the remainder of the construction. So this construction will, this bid process was for the full 1,400 foot extension that includes all of the utilities. And this allowed us, it's kind of a unique project in a way because we didn't have the funding to do the full project this year. So this bid process allowed us to select the low bidder and the contractor, W. McKay, so that we could move forward with him to be able to enter into an agreement. So that full 856,246 isn't going to be what we expend this year, but that was just for the purposes of being able to obtain a low bidder so that we could move forward. We did receive 3 bids, and those bid results are part of the backup presentation.
Yeah, it was a lot of backup. There was, is there any other discussion by councilors? Seeing none, then I will call the roll. Councilor Martell?
Yes.
Councilor Hanselman?
Yes.
Councilor Tuttle?
Yes.
Councilor Stackpole?
Yes.
Councilor Lanigan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes, that is unanimous. 21-345-01, order to authorize the city manager to enter into a phased multi-year contract with W. McKay Construction LLC for the extension of Presidential Lane at the Sanford Seacoast Regional Airport, and to further authorize the city manager to sign, upon receipt of all applicable documents and bonds, notice to proceed one in the amount of $268,471.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Councilor Lanigan and a second by Councilor Tuttle. Allison, do you want to take this one too?
Sure thing. So this is the next step in that project. So this is going to be phase one, is $268,471. This takes us just to station 700, which is a little over 700 feet of the project, a little more than halfway. And that facilitates the construction of 2 aircraft hangars this year. So this will take us so that all of the utilities are to that second hangar development. So that's what this phase is. The budget was for $350,000. So this is just for the contract with the contractor who's going to do the excavation and the main installations. This does not include the separate parts and pieces for the water district, for instance, for central main power, and for Unitil. So those are different separate agreements that are all part of the same overall project that we're managing and building.
Okay. Any discussion or any more questions for Allison? Councilor Lanigan, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to mention to the councilors, now that COVID's kind of broke, and I was able to take a tour of the airport with Alice, and she brought me around and showed me all the construction that happened with the solar panels, just kind of all the progress with the hangars being built, what's going in those hangars, the types of owners that are down there, just to see the growth in the airport. Unless you actually get in there, I don't think you know how fast and it is really growing in our city. So I encourage you. I know that she's offered it to me many times, and I'm sure if any of you want to go for a tour, it'd be well worth it, because there's a lot of great stuff going on down there. So congratulations, Allison, on that.
Go ahead, Councilor Tuttle, and then I have a question.
Luke, did she show you where the bodies are buried?
Okay, that's not.
You're joking.
We don't want to know that.
No.
Okay.
I don't ask those questions, Councilor Tuttle.
Please, we just don't want those rumors to get out there. Okay. So my question, Allison, do you think that it would, and I don't know what the rules are around drones around the airport, but it would be really nice to get somebody to take some video of what it looks like over the airport now, and maybe put that on our website so people could take a look at it. Because Councilor Lanigan is correct. It's really difficult to see what is there and what all the growth that's happened at the airport.
There is drone footage of the solar progress and that whole project and its build out. And then I posted on the airport's Facebook page a few months ago a really cool shot of Taxiway Charlie that I got from one of the tenants when they were doing the drag races for it. And then a very recent shot that I think somebody did from an airplane, and it's almost the same exact perspective. And that one's very neat as well. So when I get those, I try to share those and post them as much as possible, because it is cool to see how it's changed and how it's evolved and grown with the community and with the region.
That might be a nice thing to show sometimes, because we are going to have people that are still going to watch our meetings on Channel 26, but those are the kinds of things that would be nice to put on there for people to just see before our meetings too. So maybe when we get our marketer in, we can figure out a way to do that.
Yeah, we're also looking at doing an open house maybe at the end of the summer.
Oh, excellent.
So going to start doing some planning for that now that that COVID's easing up.
Nice. Forward to that. Councilor Tuttle, do you still have your hand up for a reason?
Well, no,
Oh, you're muted.
no, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to, on a more serious note, agree with Councilor Lanigan on where the airport has grown over the last, not only the last few years, but the last 30 years. It really is a great asset to our community, and very proud that we've been able to do a great job with our city manager and Allison. I always say if we'd have had Allison 20 years ago, we would have been much farther ahead, but we've really come a long ways. And it's, as somebody once said, it's a diamond in the rough for Sanford. And I'm very pleased that we're going forward and making our airport, I think, if not the best, one of the best in the state.
Thank you, Councilor Tuttle. Any other discussion about this item?
If I could just add, I just wanted to echo what Councilor Lanigan said earlier. Sarah Schnell and WSSR-TV did incredible drone footage throughout the entire, from day one, before anything happened out there with the solar panels and the, clearing and the various stages of construction and the narration with that and such under that. So I just want to give credit and thank WSSR-TV for that, for capturing that history, right? That's really the history of the projects. But what I wanted to bring up is I agree with Councilor Lanigan. Until you actually go out on the site and drive around out inside of those panels and such, or see the type of hangar construction that's taking place out there today, you just can't grasp it. No matter how good that footage is, you just can't get the scale until you're out there and experience it. So I just wanted to echo those comments.
Thank you, Steve. Any other? Oh, Jonathan, Councilor Martell.
Yes, thank you. I was also able to get a tour fairly recently, and I'll just echo some of the previous comments that the amount of solar panels and things that are going on there are much, much more than you will see from, say, the road, either of the roads surrounding the airport. So, yeah, it's great to see that the airport's growing, and the solar farm is providing some clean energy for the state.
And Madam Mayor,
Yes. Go ahead, Councilor.
I know we're like bragging. It's like a brag session on our airport right now, but I want to kind of bring it back to the fact of like the master planning and just all this is coming out of good planning and great vision. So it's not just happening on accident. This is all things that were envisioned by the airport manager when she put together that master plan, and it was approved by the council. So I just want to say it's a lot of execution that has gotten us here. So that's all.
Thank you, Councilor. All right, I don't see any other hands up, so I will call the roll. Councilor Martell?
Yes.
Councilor Hanselman?
Yes.
Counselor Tuttle,
Yes.
Counselor Stackpole,
Yes.
Counselor Lanigan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. That is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. 21-346-01. Order to authorize the Public Works Director to enter into a contract with Comprehensive Land Technologies, Inc. for tree clearing work on the CGA solar project site. And I'm going to wait and ask for the explanation of this before I ask for a motion, please.
I'm going to ask if it's the Director Hill that wants to take this first, or if Director Della Valle wants to take this.
I'd be fine if Beth wants to go. It's a cooperative effort. Okay. There she is.
Who's first?
Oh, you're muted, Beth.
Beth, you're muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. This is part of the background work that's necessary to do the cleanup of the CGA brownfield site. There are two contacts actually that will be involved in this. One of them, and this is the one we're looking at this evening, is with CLT to essentially take down about 3.5 acres of trees. That's necessary before the second contract, which is being managed by TRC, our brownfield contractors, will be put in place to remove some of the solid waste that is on the site, that's non-contaminated solid waste. Both of those contracts will have to be executed and the work completed before the city can go in and actually do the cleanup work associated with removing the contaminated material from the site. So those 3 steps will be necessary before Walden Renewables will be able to come onto the site and to build another solar farm. Matt has been handling the process with CLT. We did go out to bid for this in January, and nobody bid on it. This is a very, very difficult time to get contractors to step up, particularly for small projects like this. As a result, Matt, and I'm off again, sorry, I'm having trouble with my internet connection today. Matt has been working with CLT and trying to solicit other bids. He can tell you a bit more about that. We were not successful in getting any other organizations besides CLT interested. CLT comes very highly recommended by both our brownfield contractor. They also do a lot of work for Walden Renewables, and they're very, very well respected in their field. I think at this point I'll stop and let Matt step in and talk with you about the attempt to get estimates and his contact with CLT.
Yeah, basically the construction industry is very hot right now. We did go through 5 contractors, 2 that are already already signed up with the city, and then tried to contact 3 others. And out of that, only managed to get this 1 bid. We know that, there is a purchasing policy and whatnot, but we've also been working at it for quite a while. It's not something that was rushed. But here we are kind of at the finish line with what we think is a decent proposal in order to get this going forward and create another city-owned solar facility. The site has, its own set of unique challenges as well. So, this is one step in the process.
And it's been a very long process. I was involved with this site back in the 2000s, early 2000s, when we were contemplating whether we were going to even take the site on, and they didn't pay their property taxes. So went through that. So it's really, at least it's come to this. So my question is that a firm amount, that $28,820?
That appears to be a lump sum. Yeah.
Okay, so Steve, do you have anything to add to this before I ask for a motion?
Yes, that. So funds are there to do this portion of it. In order to complete the entire project that the city is going to be responsible for, there's a known deficit at this point in time of approximately $93,000. There will be a request to utilize that out of the American Recovery Act funds as an allowable cost to finish off that solar project. This 17.5 acre site, the brownfield site that's long been a sore spot with the city to resolve, finally is the final attempt to, not final, but the final resolve for cleaning the property and combining that with the 100+ acres that the Maine Turnpike Authority owns. So we now have clearance for Walden Green Energy to use the two properties combined to do a large-scale solar development there. So produce additional lease fees not only to the city but to the Maine Turnpike Authority, and it'll produce significant tax revenues to the city as well, in a similar size and magnitude per megawatt for what the first major solar project at the airport produced.
Okay, then I will ask for a motion to authorize the Public Works Director to enter into a contract with Comprehensive Land Technologies in the amount of $28,820 lump sum for tree clearing work on the CGA solar project site.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
A motion by Councillor Stackpole first. Is there a second by Councillor Tuttle?
Second.
Okay, by Councillor Tuttle. And I see a hand up. Councillor Martell, go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, thank you. Have we looked into having the solar company that would like to come in here to pay for some of this?
So the agreement that we have with the solar company is the city is to provide them with a remediated site for which they will then do the development of the site for the solar panel installation. So it's our responsibility to clean and remediate the site.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion before we vote on this? Any questions by anybody else? I don't see any hands up. Let me see, Larissa. No hands. Okay. No other discussion. I will call the roll. Councillor Martell?
Yes.
Councillor Hanselman?
Yes.
Councillor Tuttle?
Yes.
Councillor Stackpole?
Yes.
Councillor Lanigan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. Okay, hey guys, we're getting through this pretty quickly. 20-107-01. Order to terminate the emergency proclamation associated with the COVID-19 pandemic pursuant to City Code Chapter 27-6. Steve,
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Second, please.
A motion by Councillor Tuttle and a second by Councillor Lanigan. Steve, would you like me to read this?
Yes, please.
Okay. Whereas on March 24th, 2020, a declaration of emergency was made pursuant to City Code 27-5, declaring a state of emergency addressing the COVID-19 pandemic and associated impacts. And whereas the major elements of emergency response have been lifted by the state of Maine by Executive Order 40, fiscal year 2021, as of June 30, 2021. And whereas the city's pandemic response policy has mitigated the elements of community exposure to residents and staff to an acceptable level with mask and distance requirements abated, and whereas the declaration of a state of emergency pursuant to City Code 27-5 was set to expire 30 days after the end of Maine's declaration of emergency. Now therefore be it resolved pursuant to City Code 27-6 that the city manager, in conjunction with the City Council, resolves the state of emergency in Sanford, is relieved within the municipal bounds, and hereby ends the city's state of emergency declaration. Be it resolved on the 6th day of July 2021 by order of the Sanford City Council. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion necessary on this? Just relieve. Oh, Councillor Martell has his hand up.
Yeah, quick question. Will this remove the mask requirements for City Hall?
Well, not right now. The City Hall mask mandates are recommended if you're unvaccinated, but they're still recommended to be worn. But it's And I have a feeling that will remain the same, correct, Steve? As long as the Delta variant is out there.
Yeah,
Right. We have time.
caution, because I mean, there's some reports coming out of Israel where they've been working on studies with a university in Texas that Pfizer is only showing 64 something percent efficacy against the Delta variant. So I think yes, we're not in a state of emergency because our hospitals aren't overwhelmed with cases anymore, but there is still something to be concerned about. I think people need to use their common sense.
Right. I feel very strongly the same way. So, Councillor Tuttle, you have your hand up.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I feel the same way. I think we have to err on the side of caution, but I do think that we need to give our mayor and our manager and all of us involved with kudos with the clinic of inoculating at least 75% of our constituents. I think we really are very proud of our community and what we've done. And I think it's, even though the situation isn't over, I think that we've really done our duty in helping to solve the greatest health issue of at least my lifetime. So I think we all have to be positive in that aspect, Madam Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Tuttle. Yep, I think the city has done an amazing job over the last 15, 16 months. I'll tell you, I didn't see the end coming this late. But thank God we got here. So we have the motion on the floor and a second. So if there's no more discussion, Councillor Martel?
Yes.
Councillor Hanselman?
Yes.
Councillor Tuttle?
Yes.
Councillor Stackpole?
Yes.
Councillor Lanigan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Okay, that is unanimous. Let me find my agenda again. Here we go. 21-324-01, order to amend the City Council Rules of Procedure to allow for temporary substitution of one councillor for another at a subcommittee meeting with prior notice.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Well, wait a second. Let me
Motion to discuss.
Yeah, we can.
Motion to discuss. All right.
Perfect. Second by Councillor Lanigan. That's fine.
Yes.
Because I think, if I'm not, I think we have to discuss it. And since this is the first time, I think we can vote on it at the next meeting, Steve, or can we vote on this at this meeting?
You can vote on it at this meeting, or you can hold it over, table it to your next meeting.
All right. Well, we'll see what the discussion is like. Why don't you present this, Steve? Because we realized that this was an issue after the last meeting because we wanted to be able to be a little more flexible in putting people who temporarily couldn't be on a committee because they were either on vacation, out of town, whatever. So go ahead, Steve.
So in your rules of procedure now, section 41 is as it stands here. There's no section to standing committee, no amendments to standing committees as called out. And those standing committees are listed out here. There's no change to the ad hoc or temporary committees and how they're called. Designated committees, the same. Remaining committees, no change there. Removal, suspension, and redesignation, no change from what was recently adopted. The change comes in a new section, subsection F, that's entitled Temporary Absence of a Counselor. Try to expand this up for everybody.
Oh, good job.
There. So the new language states, should a city councilor be unable to fulfill their appointed position for a scheduled meeting on any standing committee, ad hoc, or temporary committee, designated committees, or other committee as appointed by the mayor, the council shall provide timely notification to the mayor. Mayor may then communicate to a remaining councilor member a request he or she become the temporary representative of the council for said meeting. Such temporary replacement shall be at the discretion of the mayor, and unless so designated, shall be for the single meeting as assigned. That is the newly proposed language to cover temporary outages.
Okay, I see Councillor Lanigan, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this is just out of like process and kind of how fast it happens. I'm just wondering what we've done in the past is if I can't make a meeting, I might call Counselor Hanselman and ask her, or text or email and see if she can cover. Usually reaching out to someone that might have some background in the information, or I might know another counselor that has more information on it. Are we putting in an extra step that's going to slow down finding that substitution? Because sometimes it's the day of, and
if it's the day of, and I have to do it, then I'll do it, because I think that it's critical enough that it not be left to happenstance. Because there are times when there are committee meetings and nobody has even, I'm sitting there at a committee and it's not a full complement of counselors and I haven't been notified and nobody shows up. So I think that if the subcommittee process is important, it's important that 3 counselors be there so that we can trust that advisory opinion that's coming to the council.
Then may I ask, Madam Mayor, if we could do it on a rotational basis to make sure that all counselors are being asked equally?
Well, I will try to see who I can reach, but people who answer back quickly get put on a committee at the last minute, who I know I can count on. People who don't show up for committees don't get asked to do them.
So I guess my point is Counselor Hanselman, her name starts with an A and mine starts with an L. Is it always start that way, or
no?
Is it
I look at the list and I think, who can I get on a last minute basis? Now, Here's the thing. Counselor Hanselman let me know weeks ahead of time that she wasn't going to be at the committee, and I was able to line up people to take care of that. If you're saying you want me to call you every time there's a meeting, that there's an opening, you know what? I often won't. There are people who respond to their text messages or their emails and people that don't. So I'm more concerned about that the committee is fully staffed because I really think that counselors, everything is pretty much equal. It's really a case of who's willing to step up at the last minute.
Okay.
And in Counselor Hanselman's case, I knew enough ahead of time and I knew what the topics were. And I thought that it would be to my benefit to become more knowledgeable about the stuff that was going on. So I put myself on on the zoning committee, I think it was, for her. Yep. And then I replaced other people based on making sure that there were no conflicts involved either, of conflicts of interest, perceived or otherwise. So I just think that the mayor's in the best position. Was that counselor? I heard a counselor. Is there somebody with your hand up that I missed? Nope. Trying to see if there's somebody that wants to speak besides. I know Counselor Lanigan had his hand up, but it's gone. Are there any other counselors who'd like to make a comment? No? Sure? You feel like we could vote on this evening? If so, I'll take a motion.
I'll move that we vote on it this evening.
Well, do you want to, is your motion to approve the amendment?
Motion to approve, Madam Mayor.
Second.
Is there a second by Counselor Stackpole? Is there any further discussion?
Just that I think, I think Luke's point, I understand Luke's point to try to spread it out a little bit when able to. I know when Tom was mayor, Luke used to do a lot of the replacement on subcommittees. And I kind of felt the same way Luke feels today. So, that I could replace a little bit more. So, it's nice to be able to kind of listen in, especially on topics that you're not as familiar with, and be able to kind of hear some of the discussions.
And I do try not to overburden people who are already burdened by either jobs or committee work on other committees too. So I do try to do that, and I will try to make sure I offer it to people. But I'll be honest with you, Counselor Lanigan. People who show up at committee work on a regular basis will get phone calls from me rather than people that don't show up without notification. That goes across the board.
Completely understand.
And Madam Mayor, I promise that I won't return my text messages as quickly as I normally do.
Like never.
We already know, Counselor Tuttle, it's carrier pigeon with you.
Well, I did text him, but I didn't get a response. So
I'm on the bottom of the list because of the carrier pigeon problem.
Right? No. Crank telephone, Maura. Crank telephone.
So I have a motion to approve made by Counselor Tuttle and a second by Counselor Stackpole. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Counselor Martell?
Yes.
Counselor Hanselman?
Yes.
Counselor Tuttle?
Yes.
Counselor Stackpole,
Yes.
Counselor Lanigan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. So that passes unanimously. And Steve, can we have the completed rules of procedure if in fact we do get to be at the, and I'm going to knock on wood and say we're going to have our meeting, everything will be ready to have our meeting in person on the 20th, that we have those rules of procedure for us to sign at that meeting?
Yes, we'll bring,
Okay.
we will bring those forward. Right,
Bring
Marissa?
everything that you need for us to sign, and counselors, be prepared.
Yes.
Okay, so
New pens for everybody.
thank you.
Are those new chairs in the room? I took a peek the other night.
No, nothing I'm aware of. No.
They look like new chairs to me. They were new from when I wasn't here.
We got the old Ricky chairs back.
It's been over a year now.
They look like newer chairs than from 2012. Let me tell you that. Okay,
They've been replaced since you were there, Mayor.
oh, they have. Okay, good.
Councilor Hanselman got rid of that rookie chair right there.
Yeah, well, when you all go in, you're gonna have to look for where your name tags are, because I think everything's gonna be opposite from where it was before, just based on the electronics.
It is, yes.
Okay, so council member comments. First, Councilor Martell.
I just wanted to say that it was great to see everyone out at the fireworks. There was a little disappointment about the delay, but we still had some fireworks go off, and it was good to see people out and having a good time.
Okay. Oh, well, you can show us. Can you put us back on without the sharing, please? I just need to see people. I like to see everybody when they're talking all at the same time. Thank you. Councilor Hanselman, any comments?
Thank you. Just briefly, and echo, Councilor Martell's comments, but a little bit different. I had a unique opportunity to witness the actual setup of the 4th of July festivities this year. And, a lot of activities or events happen, and we really don't understand the depth of what it takes to make that happen, unless we're really in it. And boy, just a shout out to our Parks and Rec team that was out there in hot weather and sunshine, and I saw our fire department, police department. Yes, a lot of moving parts, and great city staff that they make it happen. So shout out to all those kind of unsung heroes that make it happen.
Councilor Tuttle.
I've got a few things here, Madam Mayor. I would like to again congratulate Councilor Lanigan on his chandelier. Look, that's really quite attractive.
I painted my spare
it's better
time.
than mine, right, Luke? But anyway,
Yeah.
I received a call from Sue Cody, our city clerk, about an 81-year-old lady who was told by Atlantic Cable that she couldn't just get her cable, but she had to get the internet, which she didn't use. My understanding is that's not the case, Stephen. I know that getting through to those folks is really tough, but if we could look into that for her, I would like to find out, because I don't think it's the right thing to do. And finally, a sentiment for former Fire Chief George Driscoll, who was a great guy, a great chief, great member of this community. I would like to have a town sentiment and maybe have Chief Bernardi prepare something that I could present to the Maine legislature, because I think that George's tenure at City Hall, wonderful chief, great guy. The men would have gone anywhere for him. And I really think that that recognition is long overdue, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Tuttle. Councilor Stackpole.
I'm all set this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Lanigan.
I just want to kind of echo what Councilor Hanselman said. Kudos to all the city staff that put on a safe event. Our emergency services were all down around the pond. And I can't wait till next year when we get all our vendors back. And but it was a great turnout. Sanford was hustling this weekend, and it's really starting to show all the work that we're putting in, positive comments about the roads, the schools, everything. It's definitely a different flavor, and that goes to all that are involved. So thank you.
Deputy Mayor Herlihy.
All set this evening.
And I am also all set this evening. And I will go back to agenda items. Councilor Martel. Any future agenda items that you want discussed?
Not tonight, thank you.
And Councilor Hanselman, I think we still have the ones that you mentioned the last time, and we will be putting those on the agenda. Do you have anything new to add this evening?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Councilor Tuttle?
I'm all set, Madam Mayor.
Councilor Stackpole?
All set, thank you.
Councilor Lanigan?
Yes, I just wanted to get onto the solid waste, the agenda, working on drive-through restaurants having receptacles on their exits. A lot of our trash that we find across our community is fast food cups and stuff like that. And I just find in communities that have those receptacles, it's just one extra layer of trash that's not ending up on our roads or in our neighborhoods. So I didn't know if Councilor Stackpole would be interested in discussing that. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I think I've made this statement before, just as a quick follow-up. I see my own experience that there's not as many trash receptacles just out and about in particularly the fast food places. So, again, we have to deal with the trash, not the industry that's created the trash. And so I think it's very appropriate to take a look at this.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do it on a fair basis where,
sure. Absolutely.
Equals what they're putting out.
That's right. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Deputy Mayor Hurley?
I was talking to someone before the meeting about a property, I think it was on Deering Neighborhood Road, that the number of horses on the property has increased pretty heavily, and there are some not so great maintenance of said horses and concern about said horses. And I don't know who keeps an eye on it, whether that would be some like property or whether that would be land bank or whether that would be public safety. But I don't know the methodology to try to
It's my understanding that that's a horse rescue place and that those are horses that are rescued from what we used to call the glue factory. I don't know what they call it anymore.
Yeah, but are they being...
I think that's a legitimate question, and it's been raised a number of times.
Because I get the impression that it's not as clean as one would hope, or the horses don't seem to be maintained as one would hope.
So you can put that. You can look into that. I think that's worth a discussion. I mean, because I don't know the rules about horse. Within a certain limit.
They're renters as well, and so that you're dealing with a landlord.
It's right on the road, Steve, as you're going up Deering Neighborhood.
Well, as Madam Mayor, as former Mayor Cody, that we could amend the chicken ordinance to do that, right, Bob?
No chickens.
Right.
Okay, I don't want to talk about the chicken ordinance. No chicken ordinances, please.
Chickens, bodies, and trash bags. No.
Something he didn't want us to waste our time.
Blame Fred for that, right?
Yeah, you don't want to create a precedent by allowing horses to increase and not allow chickens to increase, right?
Exactly.
I'm okay with animals as long as they're maintained properly and they're not impacting off site. And
the issue is that they look really thin, but I think it's that they're rescue. They come very thin because they weren't meant to be.
I'm not sure it's cleaned up. I'm not sure that the site is cleaned up as it should be yet.
I don't know. All I know is I've driven by it. So, but we have had numerous complaints. So I think it's worth it.
Where is this?
On Deering Neighborhood Road, as you're going up the road towards,
Six or something.
Whatever that road is up by the 70s blueberry fields. That goes up from Springdale up Deering Neighborhood, not down, and then it's on the left.
PETA pickets.
You can't miss it. Steve, I just have one comment for an agenda item, and I don't know where it goes to or anything, but Councillor Lanigan brought it to my attention. I really didn't know it had been an issue at all. And then I noticed over the weekend it was persistent that at Prompto Oil, they always have cars out in the road when you're driving by there, and they don't have all their lanes open. So it seems to be a problem that is ongoing. So maybe that's something that we need to figure out a way to solve that problem. So thank you, Councillor Lanigan, for bringing that to my attention.
And can I just add into that, Madam Mayor, if you don't mind?
Sure.
One thing that I'm sure they're going to bring up the employee shortages. That's a big factor for a lot of people not having full service. But I don't see a reason why they can't move their employees down other bays so they can at least fill up cars and keep the cars in a bay versus keeping that bay coned off and then the cars out in the road. So.
Well, it clearly wasn't very safe. A few times that I drove by it, it was consistently, they were out in the road, and there was one
Well,
bay.
Madam Mayor, the neighbors have been complaining for months. I know that Council Hannigan is well aware of that.
Excellent. Okay.
We had a prior commitment from the owner and operator to convert the flow of traffic to go down the street adjacent to Jerry's Market, come in the backside.
Yep.
To create the stacking capacity that currently is occupying out in the road, and then have them exit out the front side adjacent to the, parallel with the street, to Main Street, as opposed to entering it at that place. So we'll go back and revisit that. That was all pre-COVID commitments. So likely COVID was the end of many of these plans that were well laid. So we'll go back and communicate.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty reasonable idea, going from the backside. There's plenty of space there.
All right, I think that's it for this evening. So we'll see you all in person on the 20th, hopefully.
We broke records tonight, Mayor. Good job.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.